From KCRW, this is Here Be Monsters.
So, I don't know, man. I kind of wake up with the pain of existence every day. And life is pain. And dealing with the pain causes beauty. Dealing with the pain causes the best parts of us. Being able to assert control in a very uncertain world, that's very compelling. I think that's why people do things.
Here Be Monsters, the podcast about
going so fast, just flying on your feet.
The podcast about the unknown.
Pain is a show. The pain could be a show for yourself and nobody else.
There's this aspect of running long distances, this badge of like, you have endured all of this pain and you've survived, and it's something you do for fun. And that was really, really appealing to me. I just kept running and pushing myself harder and harder and harder. It just felt good. One thing I noticed was that a lot of the really elite competitive runners I would hang out with would also like drink a lot. They were the sort of people who like the point of drinking was to black out. You know what I mean? For a while, I thought that those were diametrically opposed to each other. The idea of like running long distances and like binge drinking. But there's like a thread there of socially acceptable self-destruction or socially acceptable harm, right? The Boston Marathon of 2018 was, by some accounts, the worst weather in the more than 120-year history of the Boston Marathon. I remember thinking relatively early on in the race, like, I'm in trouble. This shouldn't feel this bad this soon. Like, the rain just kept coming down, and it just got worse and worse. And that was like the first race or the first run I remember finishing and just feeling no satisfaction whatsoever. Just feeling awful. Just feeling like pure misery and just wanting to forget it. Like the only joy that came out of that race was just it being over. But I think running changed for me a little bit after that. I don't think I run for the pain anymore. The pain is now, it's just there, and it's not the point. Like, the point is being out and breathing the air and smelling things and seeing the sky and being in the light and getting lost.
Pain is proof of love.
I wanted to attempt to have unmedicated labor. I guess just to have nothing stopping my body and my mind just doing its thing. I'm a mammal, just like an aardvark is, just like a possum is, and they don't get epidurals. I was eating dinner and watching Miss Maisel, and I started having contractions, and I was in incredible pain. I felt like I wanted to grunt and whimper, so I did it. I really was out of my mind, but I tapped into a whole other realm, or I don't even know how to describe it. Again, I've only ever been in that experience once, but I felt, almost like animalistic, I guess. I was in active labor for more than 24 hours, which is a very long time. No sleep. And I just, I hit a wall. And I remember just briefly wishing I wasn't even pregnant because I was just so tired, and I did not want to feel like that. And I then surrendered to the idea of, okay, yep, I'm going to get some medication now. I felt a tiny bit disappointed because I wanted the full experience. I wanted to feel the crazy discomfort. I wanted to feel my body laboring. But my son has been alive now for almost an entire year. There's way more important things for me to think about than, did I get medicated or not? So the pain was worth it.
Pain is already there. So just letting it show. And pain is sanctified if you believe it to be sanctified by what you do. In fact, it is an act of devotion. So, growing up during Holy Week is the week before Easter, And in the Philippines, that is something of a national holiday. There's no school and there's no TV. Well, when I grew up, I guess, in the 80s, TV, all the 4 TV stations started just playing Catholic and Holy Week related video. And something that you saw on the video was some of the practices that people were doing during Holy Week. Later in my life, as a grad student, I realized that I could call it folk Catholicism, a hybrid of what they had and what's new. There are many practices of folk Catholicism. The crucifixion is one that gets a lot of press, as one would imagine. there is a small town in the province of Pampanga. The town's name is San Fernando, and they're known for ritualized public crucifixion, and it is voluntary. It can go as far as people have nailed themselves to the cross, like have had themselves nailed. Most of the time, it's, people are strung up by rope. I think they stay up there as long as they want to, as long as they can. I think is mostly the idea. Yeah, and it gets a lot of press, and I think the practitioners desire there to be a lot of press. The public nature of the practice is very much a part of it. Not as much to show off or to be an exhibitionist. There's probably a lot of that there too. But mostly to inspire. This is a public display of devotion. Like most westernized people, I, as a boy, even in Manila, looked at that and thought how brutal, how savage, how barbarous. How could that possibly be of God? This God that I've been taught to think of as loving and all of that. This brutalism is a product of colonialism. And it is a way that we have internalized our lack of worth, Because you don't try to find worth by crucifying yourself if you feel like you're worthy. But the idea came up in my head was, who's to say that their experience is not devotion? I think it's for them to say whether or not their experience is devotion. Who's to say they're not meeting Jesus on that cross? There's a hell of a lot of celebration of martyrs in Catholicism. Redemption doesn't happen without death and pain. So, for me to call it barbarous is prejudice. Is limiting, and perhaps I'm limiting what beauty God is.
The pain is under control.
The pain is never ending.
Pain is inherited from traditions centuries long.
The pain is temporary, and the pain is
like a furnace. I always think of it as like burning up something, like burning up bad stuff.
The pain doesn't kill them. The pain might make them live.
The pain is oh no, I think I might be out.
Will James is a reporter for KNKX Public Radio in Seattle, and he still runs, but for pleasure. Ashlyn Owen Kachikis is a special education teacher, and her boy, Lou Ruby, is about to have his first birthday. And Carlo Nakar, whose voice you might recognize from earlier episodes of Here Be Monsters, is back from the Philippines and doing social work in Seattle. I was inspired to make this episode after interviewing a philosopher named David Pierce. David believes that pain of any kind is unequivocally bad, and I wasn't sure if I agreed or not. That episode is called Super Happiness. It's episode 137. Find it at hbmpodcast.com or by looking for episode 137 in your podcast app. Also on our website, you can now sign up for our summer art exchange. Sign up and we'll pair you with another listener and you'll make art for each other. I did it last year and it was super fun. My partner Fami, hi Fami, made me this great piece of collage art that's still hanging in my office, and I sent her a cross-stitch of a crow. Sign up at hbmpodcast.com/art. I'm Bethany Denton, and I produce this episode with editing help from Jeff Emtman. Music by Flowers, Olecranon Rebellion, and The Black Spot. Here Be Monsters is distributed by KCRW. Our senior editor there is Kristen Lepore. We get additional support for freelance contributions from KCRW's Independent Producer Project. Thanks for listening. Stay safe. More episodes soon.